While we conduct an interview, our questions are created dynamically. Many of the companies have fixed questions, and even if you answered it in the previous based on the job requirement and what the candidate says, people say, oh, you're AI, they're AI, it's all the same. But it's not. It's the voice tones, not the words that someone says, but the tone, the sounds of their voice. And that's what we determine their personality, their emotions, their natural abilities.
So, welcome to the show. This is Scalable Thinking. I am your host, Edgar Sierra, and today we have Adam Hocek from Aecho. Adam, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Nice to be here.
It's nice to have you here. Adam, why don't we start by you telling us what Aecho does?
Sure. So Echo is a voice analytics technology company. We developed through deep learning the ability to detect emotions and personality traits from the human voice, from the tones of the human voice. And that's our core technology. And then we applied this technology. It could be applied to many areas. We focused on the recruiting area, mostly for the soft skills of job seekers, because they're often overlooked and it's hard to assess them. It's a long process of taking these surveys. So what we did is we targeted for recruiting to understand the person, the human behind the resume. And that's what we do for recruiting.
I have heard many applications of artificial intelligence, but I think this is the first time I hear such an interesting way to use AI. It's very interesting because not only saves time, but also money to anybody who wants to recruit and understand better their candidates. What is your ideal client profile?
That is correct. So it's recruiters, talent seekers, human resources for hiring. Where we see our technology, it's a transition. So right now we see it as being assistive to the recruiters. So what we bring to a recruiter is the ability to offload a lot of the tedious, repetitive work of pre-screening, asking questions, finding out if they qualify, etc. We take a lot of that out, and like most AI, we're around the clock, so candidates can interview whenever they are available. It's not a question of scheduling when the recruiter's ready and when the candidate is. So that speeds up the whole process. And then, so those are the targets. But I see the trend, and it's not just me speaking. I've spoken to recruiters, and that eventually recruiting is becoming, in some ways, marginalized over the coming years. AI is coming in, it's improving it. But really, what we're looking at is a matching algorithm between the job requirement, the type of person they want, and the candidate and their personality and their drive, the motivation. And so it's really matching. So eventually, in the coming years, we see the trend will start happening that companies will directly use this technology to hire candidates. So they'll, instead of them going to recruiters, they likely go directly to with the technology. Larger companies, of course.
Is right now Echo's biggest issue.
One was really initially used to be, I'm going to say it's less so of a problem, but it was, how does this voice technology work? How do we know it's accurate? What is it compared against? What type of, they call them inventories in the psychological world, but they're basically psychological surveys, questions. And how does it compare? Today, it's less of a concern, I think, and I'm speaking since the last year. And mostly that's because there's so much more voice out there, and voice is on the rise in products more and more, from the automobile driving to talking to devices, Alexa, and so on, that we are more used to speaking to and more apps. So that there's less concern there, but sometimes that's a question that does come up. And the other that's one big challenge. The other is for recruiting, a challenge is really the noise in the market. So about a year ago, year to year and a half ago, AI really started becoming popular and it became really available to everyone. In AI, I mean the machine learning, the understanding, asking questions, getting responses. But what has happened is a lot of companies said, "Oh, well, let's go after the recruiting business. We're not the only ones. We started earlier than many. We were four plus years old, and many of them started in the last 2 years." The thing with the technology is there's a lot of noise, and by that I mean people don't know what the difference is. Everyone says, "Oh, we do conversational AI interviews." We do that too. But the difference is that there's a few differences. While we conduct an interview, our questions are created dynamically. Many of the companies have fixed questions. And even if you answered it in the previous question, they'll still ask it again because they have a fixed set. I would say very, very few are dynamic, meaning they listen to what the person says and then ask the follow up question based on the job requirement and what the candidate says. That's something we do, which is different. And again, it gets lost in the noise. People say, oh, you're AI, they're AI, it's all the same, but it's not. And the other big thing is, and that's really the core, is we analyze the voice tones, not the words that someone says, but the tone, the sounds of their voice. And that's what we determine their personality, their emotions, their natural abilities. And that's something so far we're the only ones who bring that to the market. And that's a really unique factor. And sometimes it's hard to get that message across, the importance of it and how even with recruiters, there are some recruiters that will use written tests like Gallup, DISC, Hogan, etc. They'll use these tests. And there are other recruiters that they say, I don't need it. I know it. I can tell if they're good or not. So or some don't even care, I should say. They just, there are those recruiters that just want to place someone, get their commission and move on to the next one. It's a tough business. So that's where it's giving the value, showing what the cost of making a mistake is and hiring the right candidate, how important it is. And that's part of the messaging and getting that across.
And then what are the things that you will have to solve from now up to 1 year, let's say?
So one challenge is getting funding. We're in the market to get it, looking and speaking to investors. So that's a huge challenge because trying to build it up sort of bottom up is not easy. We had some success, but limited success. But really, we see that it's a competitive market and we need to move quick and we see opportunity. And in some ways, we're ahead. But given time, those differences get smaller and smaller. So we're looking for funding so that we could really accelerate, grow our team. Most of our fund, technically, we have the product. We're on market. We've been selling it, but our shortage is our weakness has been in marketing and sales. Getting right marketing, it costs money, advertising and having webinars, going to conferences, all those things we haven't we've had very limited participation in. And that I think is getting our word out. And events like this, having a podcast helps us also in many ways to get more exposure. So that's our real challenge is to be able to grow the company quicker. And by that means investment.
Going back to the AI, what is for you the thing that gets you more excited about AI? And what is the thing that you are more concerned about?
So I'll maybe reverse it just to take. So my concerns with AI are one is it's moving very quickly. And no matter how quick, you still need to give people, society, companies time to use it, to settle, to learn it. And what's happening now is it's especially the big players are very competitive. So one of them releases the capability, the other one quickly follows. And I feel like some of that is a little how should I say it? It's risky because what will happen is we before we know what the capabilities and the shortcomings are, we're already looking at the next thing and the next thing, and we're losing sight of, well, people need to work with this, and offices need and companies need to make the change and see how it's working. It's positive and negative impacts. So that's one really my big concern is we're moving too quick. And then the second thing is there's a lot of hype and it's true with any new technology, but there's those who say it's wonderful, it's the best thing that's happened, it's going to change everything. And then there's the other group that says there's a lot of problems with it and it's not going to replace humans and it's got a long way. So you have a lot of media and I think a lot of news is in a way biased towards what they want to promote. So that's a little scary because you don't really know what's going on. The positive thing though is it is replacing a lot of menial tasks, a lot of repetitive tasks. I think it's wonderful that it does that. I think it's wonderful that it could be an assistant. I won't use it personally to write my whole email or an agreement, but I'll write it myself and then I'll ask it, can you make changes to this? Can you improve it? So I don't want to lose my voice in it, my style, but I also know that it's given me great suggestions that makes it sound much better, right terminology. So I love that part of it. So I think that's my opinion, at least. That's the balance right now that's safe, that is to interact with the human, assist the human, but not replace the human. That's really what, yeah. So I'm really for that. And then eventually we will start seeing, like everything, new technology, it will have some impact economically on jobs, but it will also create new jobs and new interaction. It's like a new tool and we can do different work and maybe better work in a shorter time. And that will change the way we work, humans work.
What are the plans for Echo in the near future?
Um, we have this pretty amazing technology. We can do all these traits. We have over 180 personality traits, emotions, and we keep adding new ones to our offering articulation, clarity. We have communication, but we're going even more granular and different qualities of traits. So that's definitely a positive process. The other thing that we're doing is we do some emotions and well-being predictors. So this came from the workforce and from the recruiting, but we do things like how well is the person stressed out? Are they anxious? And then we did things like how is their emotional intelligence, their emotional stability? Are they able to control their emotions well? Those are some coping ability. Can they cope with pressure? Do they work well with pressure? Or does it hinder their performance? Those are some of the traits that we do today. But we also are adding other traits like depression. Besides anxiety, stress, depression is one. So we have fairly good performance on depression, and now we're taking it a little further to improve it. It's all about mental health. It really is the center focus for us. So we think that we can bring this in, and that will open up other opportunities to understand people better. It's all about really trying to what we're doing and where I see we fit in Echo is we're we have this technology that understands people better, whether it's for another human to understand them better or for an AI service to understand them better. But if it understands them better, like it knows their, let's just say in a clinical situation, if the doctor may not pick up that someone's being is depressed about the procedure they're going under and they put on a nice happy face and okay, I know I'm going to deal with it, I'm okay with it. But if they're not, it would be good that the doctor knows that or the medical team knows it so they could maybe help that person. So those are the subtleties, and it's yeah, so that's what I see is, to answer your question, is going more not only in recruiting, but there are many other applications, medical, high stress jobs like police, military, first responders, firefighters, that their performance is really important and it's critical to themselves and to the people around them. And if we can help to catch it before it becomes a problem, that's valuable. So I do see a lot of opportunity.
If you have a partner who could do anything, what would you ask that partner to help you with?
Well, we do have some. So I will say we do have so far. We have two partnerships in place, and what they different areas, but what they show to us is the partnerships are really important because typically the partners that we, in the case of these two, they already know their domain. They know the people who are users in their domain. And so they have a market already. So that's really valuable. So I actually welcome like partnerships because it takes a long time to learn like recruiting. I'm not from the recruiting industry. I've hired lots of people and ran groups, but I don't have, I'm not learned a lot along this journey about recruiting, the challenges, how it go about it. But one of the partners we have is someone already in the recruiting industry that is starting a different, it's a partnership. We're working together. We're providing the technology, and they're able to run a much leaner operation that can produce more with fewer people and better quality results because of the personalities and match. So we're performing faster and we're producing better quality. But what's really good about the partnership is they know the ins and outs and all the details, sourcing companies, sourcing candidate, and we provide the technology to do it. So that's a wonderful partnership. So those are the kind of things where someone's got the domain expertise and then we bring in the technology and work with them. That's our ideal.
Adam, before we close the podcast, how can people find you online?
Yeah. So for Echo, they can find Echo as Echo.ai, and that's with an A. I don't know if the logo shows there, but AECHO.ai is the domain for the company. They can also email me. My email is adam@echo.ai. They could reach out there. I have also a LinkedIn page, which I always forget. It's linkedin.com.ln.adam, uh, Adam Hocek, Hocek, and that's my personal LinkedIn. So that's three ways they could reach us.
I appreciate your time, Adam, and hopefully we'll have another opportunity to talk what you're doing and what your plans are. Is there something you would like to close the podcast with?
Well, before I forget anything, I want to thank you also, Edgar, for inviting me, being on your podcast. It's an opportunity for us, so I always welcome it. It's nice to talk about what we're doing, and but to reach out to people and spread more the interest with us. I think that's really it. I people want we have demos. We're open to partnerships. We're a pretty open company, and we're around the globe in various countries. Some of our team we're very open to exploring possibilities with others. So welcome that anytime. Thank you so much.